Welcome to another episode of the Bear Trap on the Boomer Bust channel, Bears podcast by a Bears fan. I'm your host Terry, and today we're doing another player spotlight of Kyle Long, the infamous or the famous, who knows. But pretty much doing a spotlight, taking a look at a player, what they've done for us, what we expect from them going forward, and then label them a core player, a starter, a young piece to build around, or just a backup. And yeah, that's kind of what we've been doing, filling that time during the off season. So Kyle Long's an interesting one, man. I mean, again, I'd like to start off with stats to get out the way. Offensive line, not a lot of stats, but the one that matters with Kyle Long is the games played. And we're talking about 17 starts, in the last 2 seasons. So roughly he missed half the games in the last 2 seasons for us. So a lot of people are talking about injury prone, but some people are talking about maybe he has some shoulder problems that are not going to go away, and that he might just be facing the reality of playing with a bum shoulder. So there's no confirmation on that from the Bears. I don't think they would anyway. And none of us really know. Even if we are doctors, we haven't been, able to look at them. So we don't know. It could be possible, but there's many players that play with, permanent injuries, so to speak, and they learn how to cope and get around it. So it's not impossible, especially for offensive linemen. Your shoulder is a big part of it. So we'll kind of see, the reports are coming out that he's good to go. Maybe not 100%, but he's a lot healthier than he was last season. And, he's looking to have a good year this year. So that's all we can go off of. But if we're talking about what he's done, of course, he was a surprise. He was a surprise coming out of the draft, especially for me. I thought he was a project all the way, and to see him not only switch his game, because Oregon is where he played and it was a very zone-based type thing, but not only to switch his play from that style to more of a power style, but he's a former baseball player. People might not remember he's a project, and football is his second sport, even in college. So, for him to get bigger and to fill that frame out, to get that nasty demeanor, that was a little, surprising to me how quickly he turned it around. Now, football's in his genes. His dad, Howie Long, his brother, Chris Long. So, of course you got that part, that plays into it. But still, I would say he rapidly became a lot better than people expected. Now his guard and your offensive line, you're playing with a unit and you kind of relying on other people to make plays to make you look good. So, there's that part of it too, but either way, he became a respected player in the league. And, so that doesn't go unnoticed at all, when other players respect your game. So, but then the last 2 years, like we said, he just kind of been having that nagging injury bug. And the issue I think I have, when it comes to the discussion about Kyle Long is when he was playing and quote unquote healthy, the last 2 seasons, I don't know that there was a huge difference. I mean, because you think about, not last season, but the season before, when Jordan Howard was a rookie and we were really getting after it on the offensive line in the run game. Sitting was a big part of that as well. Of course, Cody Whitehair is a rookie. And I think Leno and them did a good job run blocking as well. So, Kyle Long, of course, added to that, but he played about half the season. And so while we weren't any, type of explosive offense or anything, our run game was stable throughout the season with or without Kyle Long. And so that's something that you have to take into consideration. And then you talk about this year, of course, again, nothing special on offense, but when Kyle Long was in, could we really say we were that much better, noticeably? I don't know if that's the case. And that's partly maybe because he wasn't playing at his full, ability. But I will say that when he's in, it helps solidify and stabilize the line. Now that's going to look different this year as we bring in some, different people. But, for the most part, when Kyle Long is in, the line is going to be a lot more stable because, you can have Cody play guard, and I think he might be better at it, to be honest, but that's another conversation. but you want him to be at his starting spot. James Daniels, wherever he ends up playing, he can play 3 different positions, but you want him to be at his spot. And then, of course, the tackles are the tackles. But once Kyle Long is out, then that's when Cody Whitehair had to move because Haranis Grasu couldn't play guard. And then, you got to do this, and Cush was hurt and all that. So we don't have to deal with that as much this year because, like I said, you bring in James Daniels, who is kind of multi-purpose in that way. And then you also have Cush coming back off injury. So, but either way, if injuries probably happen when Kyle Long is out, that is going to effectively kind of not screw up, but, mess with the lineup. And offensive alignment and the offensive line unit is always better when there's cohesion and there's continuity. And so one thing that we really had going for us about 2-3 years ago is when we were able to put the same offensive line out there over and over. So that was big, I would say. And we'll kind of see how it goes this year. I do think there's value in having him stabilize that line, but I couldn't sit here and tell you that Kyle Long coming in made the line substantially better. Maybe better, but I don't know that it was substantially better that, you could notice. So anyway, going forward into this year, yes, you expect him to start if he's healthy. Again, we got a number of guys on the roster now, but the guys you expect to be in the depth chart will be, Cush, James Daniels, Whitehair, possibly Grasu, but he's more just a center. And, we're sitting out. You talking about having to replace a new starter in there. More than likely, that's going to be James Daniels at the left guard spot. And then you have Kyle Long at his right guard spot. Now, if Kyle Long goes out, then that's when things are going to get interesting. Do they move Whitehair out and move Daniels over, or do they just move Daniels over? Do they more than likely bring Cush in, or do you move Whitehair over and bring Cush to center? That's when that's when we have to play with the line. But with Kyle Long healthy, he should be a starter and he should be able, to solidify us. So I think bringing that continuity is a big thing. And I think bringing the attitude and the toughness too, because he does play through pain and injury. I think all of that is going to be big for having our offensive line, especially with younger guys. I'm not so much worried about Leno and Massey. I don't personally think it's possible, but I don't personally think they're going to be much better than they ever were before. So I kind of just expecting the same thing from them. So I'm not worried about them, but on the interior, I think it's important to have Long there as kind of the leader, because even though Long was the face, I would say Sidden probably was more of the dude when he was here and healthy. So now that he's gone, it's back on Kyle Long's shoulders by himself to kind of lead that group. But anyway, to belabor the point, I would say that Kyle Long's a core player. It takes some convincing for me to say that, but I would say right on the fringe, he's a core player. And the core player is much more than just the talent or, all that. That is part of it. But the other part of it is the intangibles, like we said, the leadership. Not just on your unit, but then on your side of the ball, the offensive side of the ball. And then guys that are kind of more of a leader to the whole team. And Kyle Long's one of those guys. You're talking about being one of the faces. Of course, Trubisky's kind of going to be the most in the limelight, but Kyle Long for years has been that guy out at all the events. And real nice guy, really loves Chicago, really loves the Bears. And he's just kind of one of those faces of the franchise. That goes a long way with you being a core player as well, because you're the one that could represent the organization, the team. You could communicate, when people have questions at these events. You could relate with the fans and make them excited and root for you. That all goes into being a core player. And then, like I said, his effect, he's not going to make the other linemen better per se, but him being on the field allows us to be a more stable offensive line. So like I said, on the fringe, I would give him a core player. And it's hard with O-linemen because one thing that I got into with Quentin Nelson in the draft is that the impact of that position is limited no matter how you fold it. Like, we all know Joe Thomas. How many of us would say he's not a Hall of Famer? Not many. But how many of us would say the Browns had a top 10 O-line while he was there? Not many. As good as he is, the rest of the line was trash. You can't, necessarily make them better. And so with Kyle Long, even at his full capacity, he's not going to change the way other people play per se, especially the tackles. And so, while he doesn't impact it a lot that way, not many offensive linemen do. And so, the attitude, the leadership in the face of the franchise is why I would say he's a core player. Now, is he an injury prone core player? It seems that way. If he continues to stay injured, will he continue to be a core player? Probably not. But, going into this season, I expect him to be healthy and to really solidify the line and give us a chance to do something special on that interior in the run game. So that's what I'm looking at. But anyway, want to hear from you. Go to comment section. Tell me what you think about Kyle Long going forward. What would you call him? A core player? Just a starter? Of course, he's not a young piece. He's not young anymore. Or do you think he should be a backup? Go to the comment section. Let me know. Thumbs up, subscribe, share it around, get the convo started. And remember, stay up and bear down.